Today's AskReddit post. What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard someone say? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. It's been proven that if you dream about falling and hit the ground in your dream, you will die in your sleep. Yep, if someone dies in their sleep, how do you know what they were dreaming? It's been proven by the internet though. Very credible. I saw a picture with text on Facebook. That's pretty credible, right? Work at a hotel. Guest asked why there was no 4th of July parade or any fireworks in town. We were in Australia. Did they try to pay their bill in American dollars instead of Australian dollars? To be fair, if they're paying in $1, that's a pretty sweet 40% markup. 40% idiot tax. It's not cheating if you don't love the person. I felt the pain from here. My condolences to you. Blue fire is cold. Okay, put your hand in it. It's so cold it burns US. A few years ago, leading up to the Great American Eclipse, a co-worker overheard us discussing it and said, "Y'all don't actually believe in that shit, do you?" I figured he misunderstood whatever we were talking about and thought we were talking about mysticism or something regarding the eclipse, but no, he followed up with, "Don't you know if the moon went into the sun it would melt? That's why the eclipse can't be real." I genuinely felt like humanity should probably start over from scratch after that. I can imagine as the internet was just hitting the world, someone must have thought that the spread of information and knowledge would make the world a smarter place. Too many cats. That chickens have no brains. Not that they are stupid. That a chicken literally does not have a brain. I had a neighbor who was sharing a similar theory about geckos after performing the very scientific procedure of ripping one open with pliers. Why? Trying to save money on car insurance. I'm assuming it took 15 minutes or less. My mom frantically called me one day and said she had seen a piece of the sun fall off while taking a picture of the sky. She was incredibly adamant that it was indeed real and that the picture would prove it. It was just a glare. No offense, but does your mom by chance happen to live in a cave? With Plato, but only platonic. Was World War II the cold one or the Asian one? Now I get confused. I'm guessing he meant Cold War and Vietnam, or Korea, or the Pacific theater of World War II. Edit. Proper nomenclature. That Japan was the capital of Australia. We share a time zone, but that's about it. My sister panicked whilst on a plane and asked if she could open a window as she was feeling really hot. The guy in the seats across from her lost it. It made his day. I saw a drunk German woman fiddling with the airplane door because she wanted to have a smoke outside. Amazing LOL. When you're drunk, your attention is on your immediate thoughts, impulses, and impressions. So this isn't really a dumb thing per se, just what might happen. Being drunk is not an excuse. If being drunk makes you do dangerous things one would call dumb if a sober person did them, then you are dumb to get drunk in the first place. You have vertigo? Isn't vertigo that place where the planes get lost? No, that's where'd it go. Sorry for the confusion. Don't make fun of my accent. A few years ago I got a job offer in Japan and decided to take it. Some friends from my then office threw me a farewell party. The girlfriend of one of my co-workers came along and told me that she'd always wanted to go to Japan and that her number one thing to do there would be to take a camel ride. My co-worker and I just looked at her to see if she'd explain more. Maybe there was a camel cafe she'd heard about or something. But no, she just honestly thought camels were a common mode of transportation in Japan. She must have been thinking of Australia. We have the most camels. They were released in the 1800s and breed in the deserts. How do they know which moon to put out? They store them in order. But if they get them mixed up, you just check which one they used yesterday and use the next one. What a dummy. Asia was a country in China. This reminds me of a show that used to come on A&E in the early 2000s. It was about ancient civilizations. May have been hosted by Bill Curtis, but I'm hazy on the memory of that. One episode was about ancient Egypt and the narrator said, "Egypt, which is located next to Africa. I'll never forget it because me and my GF at the time were on the phone and she heard that part too. It became an inside joke between us. I returned from a holiday in Egypt and you had to answer the health and prohibited goods declaration on arrival. On the question of have you been in Africa in the last 14 days, I wrote yes. The immigration officer asked me which country in Africa. When I told him Egypt, he looked at me puzzled, said that's not in Africa, crossed out my answer and waved me through. I had pretty much this exact conversation, was visiting family in Russia, came back to the US and had have you been to Asia in the last month or something on the health form, said yes, was asked where said Russia got told that's in Europe. Don't be stupid. I just shrugged and went where he told me, not going to fight getting home quicker. Before people say Russia is Europe. Everyone lives in the West, which is Europe. I was way beyond the Urals in a backwater town my cousins have decided to live and stay there. Don't argue with stupid, I guess. At a sushi place in Dallas, a large middle-aged man at another table shouted, "God damn, those Japs don't duck around with their guacamole." I remember the first time I had sushi rolls with wasabi. I spread it like guacamole. You couldn't even see the rice underneath. The whole restaurant got a good laugh out of my misery. The stupid part, I was warned. A high school student asked if Obama was president of the world. Doesn't get more American than thinking that. At least it was a question and not a statement. Indeed, there's a questioning at least. There are 3 types of Asians: Chinese, Japanese and Asians. I don't know why the repeating of Asians makes me laugh so much. There are 3 types of Europeans: American, British, and Europeans. When I pointed out to a co-worker that a person who actually was modest wouldn't brag about how modest they are, how would people know that I'm modest if I don't tell them? I honestly would have assumed it was a joke. I think I give too many people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I would have too. Sounds like a tongue-in-cheek comment. I think OP took it too seriously. Friend shared that he thought women were like chickens. One day a month we would sit on a toilet all day and lay an egg. I knew a guy in college that thought women kept a tampon in all the time like a plug. Then once a month when we got full we'd take the tampon out and empty our periods out. Then put the tampons back in to plug it up again. I learned this when a classmate was complaining that her period was supposed to start over spring break when she was going to the beach and he was like, just take your tampon out early and empty before you go. Learn to plan ahead. Oh boy, our bad women's anatomy would have a field day with this story. Someone once said, "But I don't want to put the bag of aquatic snails inside the fish tank. They might drown." That someone was me. Past me is dumb. One of the milestones of becoming smarter is knowing that you were once stupid. To become stronger, one must surpass their past self. Some girl once told me that it was impossible for me to be Vietnamese. BC Vietnam was a war and not a country. This happened while in college SMH. You should have answered with "you're right. I must be French or Indian." You think someone who doesn't know Vietnam was a country knows what the French-Indian War is? You're all really gonna make me remember the time my co-worker thought Willy Wonka was a real person and wondered how much money he was making on Nerds and Gobstoppers. I really thought I had a shot at visiting the factory when I was younger too. I thought the movie was made as both an advertisement by Wonka to trick children at that time, like me, to buy Wonka candies, and a deterrent to prevent us from using it by showing us how badly we could end up if we went on the factory tour. As an adult I'll laugh at the way I interpret the purpose of that movie. As a kid though, I thought that Wonka was a complete genius to both have the marketing campaign where you could win but would not exercise the rights so that he will not be committing a crime. Speaking of movies, 10 years old me thought I was clever in making a bomb by watching Die Hard 3. I wanted to carefully take a dab of syrup with a paper clip and throw it on the ground like the bomb expert guy at the NYPD. I figured because he mentioned the bomb at the school was made out of syrup. Fake bomb. So I thought this is what the bomb was made of. I really wanted to make a chair go boom with a dab of pancake syrup. If I swallow will I get pregnant? No. But be careful where you spit. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Musical notes. Musical note. The moon is much better than the sun because it's up at night illuminating while the sun is up during the day when it's already bright. I worked with a guy in his 40s, and one day, he asked me if I knew that the moon didn't produce light. I was like, yeah, it reflects sunlight, though. He was shocked, because he said he had just learned that the day before. This guy went to college and started businesses and shit. I mean, what does the moon have to do with starting a business anyways, lol? No, I can't imagine trying to buy anything from someone before I grill them on their knowledge of the moon. Why is there a deersing sign? It's too dangerous for deer to cross the road. It's good that it's a picture of a deer because they can't read. Buddy of mine was very drunk one night and asked me, where does the moon go during the daytime? It's honestly surprising how many people have never looked up and seen the moon during the day. If you could adopt a child from a third world country, which country would you choose and why? I would choose Alaska, because it's really cold there. A member of the prom court being asked a random question on our school's live news show that was being broadcasted out to every homeroom. The answer aside, that's a really weird question. I live in a third world country, and I can assure you, I would not want to be adopted by that guy. In 8th grade, this girl, dead serious, asked, how did people breathe before there was electricity? They used steam power. Solar power, you idiot. I was boiling some eggs and was talking to my sister on what pain it was because I could never peel them good. She then asked me why I didn't just peel the eggs before boiling them. Edit. You'll set me on egg hacks for life. They're all extraordinarily so, thank you guys. Hey, she's just trying to teach you how to make poached eggs. Best way to cook them really. Not even top 3 because you can't combine it easily with cheese emo. For me it goes 1. Scrambled eggs 2. Fried sunny side up 3. Omelette 4. Poached 5. Soft boiled 6. Hard boiled. You are extremely cultured. Never have I had someone have the exact same egg preferences as me in order. The spork is the devil's utensil because it is the amalgamation of the masculine fork and the feminine spoon and is trying to blur gender lines in society. This reads like a quality shitpost. I approve. Was Benjamin Button based on a true story? I mean, it was truly based on a fictional story by F. Scott Fitzgerald. His name's fuck Scott Fitzgerald. Washington DC is a state because it's on a quarter. There are 52 states, said by the same person. I've also watched this person fail the CPA exam like 25 times in a row. Really not sure why he keeps wasting money at this point since clearly he doesn't have the intelligence to pass. What is a CPA exam? Certified Public Accountant. In the States it's a certification that is required to work as an accountant for a publicly traded company. Different countries have different qualifications, training hours, degrees etc. that you must have before you can sit for the exam to hopefully pass. First time pass rates are around 40% in the US. It's not required to work as an accountant at a publicly traded company. It's required to offer accounting services to the public. Publicly traded companies are required to be audited by public accounting firms. Though, source, I'm an accountant who isn't a CPA. I'll probably end up taking mine because the family firm needs one CPA after my dad retires and I don't think my brother is interested. But there is so much you can do without one. I've met accounting students who think you can't calculate the tip on your bill if you don't have a CPA. Their eyes get so wide when you tell them you can have a whole ass career without the hassle of the test, CE, license renewal, etc. Wait, how could they castrate a 8-year-old? He wouldn't have his balls yet, my friend. A 18-year-old male who vastly misunderstood what people meant when they say your balls dropped. No, I don't know how he never noticed that he had balls before puberty. RIP me. 28-year male who just now learned that human testicles are supposed to descend before birth. I always took that saying literally. Don't feel too bad. I'm male and I had this phrase explained to me very poorly around your age. And I've never had a baby boy or any kids of my own. So it's not like I've spent any time changing diapers to notice. What's more is that when I was younger, somewhere in my teens I think, I overheard a couple female relatives talking about another kid whose balls actually didn't go into his scrotum before birth, and that has to be surgically corrected. But they were too embarrassed to talk to me about it, frankly, due to my age and the subject matter. So, I wasn't clear on the win of ball dropping. Is the 4th of July on the 14th or 15th? My ex-boyfriend asked me that. He has no excuse. He's from California. 14th of July is France's national holiday because the band Bastille was formed on that day, right? 22-year-old girlfriend. After having walked under some street lamps, I just discovered that we have two shadows. I think the other one is only visible at night. I explained what shadows are and how they are dependent on the light source. There was visible brain processing strain on her face. Edit. I'd also like to mention that this person was fairly intelligent and scientifically inclined. She was majoring in biotechnology at the time and used to help me with my electives. Imagine when she finds out about colored shadows. I can't tell if I'm being trolled or genuinely stupid. Having a baby with my boyfriend will make our relationship better. I can't wait to grow up me. I'm in this comment and I don't like it. I worked retail as a summer job about 17 years ago. I was putting out coffee cups with a coworker. Why don't they make left-handed coffee cups? I quietly turned one of the mugs 180 degrees without saying anything. Last I heard she was the assistant manager of that department. Edit. Apparently the last line hurt some feelings despite this being a whole thread about making fun of dumb things people say. So let me clarify. This young woman drank so much that she smelled like booze despite claiming she hadn't drunken anything in a couple days. She lived with her parents and let her parents watch her son while she'd go out and do bumps of coke. She would continuously show up late to work with Starbucks in her hand and immediately go right to the bathroom to apply her makeup for the next 30 minutes. I don't regret mentioning that she's the assistant manager at all. Take it as a commentary that she's possibly on a better path than where she was, or a commentary on the standards of this particular store, or just as a where are they now addition to the story. I don't really care how you take it. To be fair, coffee cups with pictures on one side are typically designed to be held with your right hand. If you hold it in your left hand, the picture is facing away from you. But this was at a Harley-Davidson dealership, and everybody knows if you have a HD you want the logo on the mug facing out so you can tell everybody you have a HD. And if you don't have a Harley-Davidson you still want the logo facing out so people will think you have an HD. If you're an atheist, that means you're not allowed to use the Roman calendar because it was invented by Christians. The only thing I have to say to this is only Greeks are allowed to stay on the globe Earth. You don't have to leave, but we are gonna charge you trillions for rent. Gotta improve our economy. A customer came in today and apparently had an excuse for not wearing a mask. We offered curbside pickup for their safety and the safety of others. They let us know that they work at a COVID clinic, so they had literally 0% chance of contracting it, and we have a winner. Yep, this is it. Shut off the lights when you leave, please. A customer once argued with me that 19 and older, what our sign said, was different than 19 or older, what I said, and that I should let them into the club. Technically yes, when you're talking about a group of people, you can nitpick and say that there is a subtle difference in the phrases. However, this customer was 18. I had a pharmacist once tell me that the age group for the government insurance was only 21 and under, not under 22. I couldn't get him to understand, so I just said okay. My American friend on Xbox says The Purge is real. I then had the most painful conversation with this kid about how it's fake. Man, this kid must have freaked every time he heard sirens or mayo. In-law father is looking at the sky, pondering how NASA puts all that stuff up there without hitting the stars. He was a teenager during the space race. You'd figure it would have come up in school. We just shrugged and acted like we didn't know. We were recently camping with some friends and we got on the topic of the sky, as it was night and everyone was looking up. Girl goes, "So all those lights up there are planets?" Then we explain they're mostly stars, like our sun. But our sun is a sun, and those are stars. Had to explain why our star is called a sun, and that other stars out there have planets orbiting them. Then the conversation turned to how it's likely there's another planet like ours out there, but space is so vast and blah blah blah. There's no way there's another planet with life out there. It's impossible. We're unique. This girl has young children she cares for, and had no clue our sun was a star. That space is vast, and we already think there is some kind of life on Mars, let alone the billions of possibilities out there. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.